Hey everyone, my guest today is Kelby Smith. Kelby describes himself as the guy the IRS absolutely freaking hates. For the last 15 years, he's built a business called His Advocates that specializes in showing business owners how to outsmart the IRS so they can either reduce their tax burden or become completely tax exempt. The cool thing about it is that Kelby's methodology is all based around the US Constitution, so he shows business owners how to keep more money in their pockets legally, which is what a lot of these tax gurus out there totally miss out on. Welcome to the show, Kelby. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, Samantha. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Doing great.
Good.
All right. So, do you want to start with the big news that you said you just found?
Yeah, my name is Kelby Smith. I'm a licensed real estate broker by trade. I live in California. I've
Okay.
had thousands of employees and
Yeah.
tons of companies. Done very well for myself. I'm excited to take a different political approach, I think, than everybody's ever thought of. And what I'm about to say is very controversial. Everybody is a lot of people get scared, but I have clients that are in the billionaire range that all
Mhm.
believe what I do because I show them in the laws where it's supported and who we really are in this nation. So buckle up. I mean, if you want me to just jump right into it,
Yeah, go for
okay.
it.
Basically, Samantha, our understanding of America as we know it is completely wrong structurally, politically. Um, there really isn't two parties. I know Republican Democrat goes way way back, but the reality is our founders, not one of them was a United States citizen, and they were all State of the Union citizens. The reason why that is so important is because our country and us as a people don't understand the laws pertaining to what does it mean to be a U.S. citizen versus what does it mean to be a state citizen. I wrote a little book called What
Okay.
Does It Mean to Be an American? This
All right.
book is 10 years in the making. This book outlines at least 30, but I've found over 100. And they suppressed this. They've hidden this off of LexisNexis, Westlaw. I had to go to the Library of Congress and find two cases and get certified copies myself in Washington, D.C., just to prove that they are changing cases and information on Westlaw versus the actual case in the Library of Congress. And what I'm about to say is decided by the United States Supreme Court, not
Okay.
Kelby.
Okay.
So what I'm about to say is lawfully true.
Okay.
Number one, state citizens do not pay taxes. Number two, United States citizens cannot own land and do not have access to the Bill of Rights or Constitution. Only state citizens do. Number three,
Okay.
there is literally two forms of citizenship on our land right now. Number four, the republic, which is what a state citizen is, nobody has, and that's why they call it a democracy. And it's because everybody went to become an employee of a corporation known as the United States. Title 28, Section 3002. In the Uniform Commercial Code 9, 307H, it says the United States exclusive jurisdiction was the District of Columbia. I thought the United States was border to border.
Mhm.
And we find out when we're going through school, our country is a corporation. And I'm like, no. When in about 2008, I had a real wake up a moment, where I'm like, what do you mean our country is a corporation? I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that I was an employee of the corporation. I didn't understand
Yeah.
that corporation was in bankruptcy. I didn't understand that corporation was being liquidated. I didn't understand all these elements. And the reason why this is all so important, people are focused on political parties. They're focused on
Mhm.
the left, they're focused on the right, they're focused on liberal, which there's some liberal points that I like. I'm mostly conservative.
Mhm.
There's some conservative things that I don't like. They're focused on gun rights. They're focused on gun violence. They're focused on, all these things that are causing division on
Yeah.
purpose to break this nation apart. if people would just understand that they have been duped in every area of their life, from their
Yeah.
citizenship to ownership of their children, to ownership of their homes, to ownership of their houses, which I'm going to break down for you guys today as
Yeah.
an expert witness, as a person who's done thousands of loan transactions, understands chain of title, has developed chain of title trainings. I could be called into any court as an expert witness at any time for what I do. We have been duped. And if we can stop focusing on our personal belief systems
Mhm.
and understand that there's a much bigger agenda trying to rip off everything in this
Yeah.
country and hand it off to a global group of elites. And they are literally trying to come and take everything that you have. You will own nothing, and you will like it, according to Klaus Schwab.
Mhm.
Um, you're according to RFK, the nation's health savior wants you to have a wearable on your wrist by next year. This president, who a lot of people hate, a lot of people love, who's done some amazing things for this country,
Uh-huh.
uh, started a forced vaccine thing through Operation Warp Speed and made it look like it wasn't a requirement. I can go on and on and on with the good and the bad of everything. Let's stop focusing on the good and bad of everything. And let's realize we as a nation have the ability to be in republic, but republic is not what you think. Republic isn't a body of people in Washington, D.C. Republic can happen right here, right now. And what do I mean by that? I applied 15 years ago to the Department of State and said, I am not a U.S. citizen. I'm a citizen of California. My allegiance is to California and to the United States of America. I gave them case sites, Cruikshank. Let me read you a couple real quick. Um, you're gonna love this. And these are like the slaughterhouse cases. It distinguishes the state and federal citizens. I mean, so
Okay.
when you have case law that distinguishes, hey, wait a minute, there is a state citizen, and wait a minute, there's a federal citizen. What is the Department of State for? Well, it's to take your application, and unfortunately, they're drawing you in to say you're either a U.S. citizen or non-citizen national. The
Okay.
non-citizen national is a trick. What we do is we cross out all the things on the application that are incorrect, and we put a 5-page explanatory statement about our state citizenship status. We make allegiance to the Declaration of Independence because people, I'm going to explain, you're not a party to the Declaration unless you affix your mark on the document. Just
Okay.
because somebody writes something over here does not make you a party. You have to make allegiance to the body politic for which was offered 250 years ago, 275 years ago. We have
Mhm.
to make allegiance to and declare and then set the status correct that we are not U.S. citizens, we are state citizens. And what happens? We don't put a social security on the application. We don't put a residence address. We put a return address, a foundation, and there's a whole lot of reasons why we do what we do. But the bottom line is we get a passport as a state citizen. And
Okay.
let me read you a few things. U.S. citizenship cannot be involuntarily revoked by governments, but it's a protected political status can only be relinquished by a voluntary act of the individual. Why is that
Okay.
important? So that you understand you can release your citizenship of the United States, but you can also gain access. In that same case, it talks about the dual citizenship. So you can gain access to the state of the Union citizen by declaration. And so that's what we
Okay.
do. Why is this so critical? People in our country are being blindsided by the death of Charlie Kirk. How did it actually happen?
Mhm.
Did he really die? Was it a hologram? Was it a forward shot, a rear shot? Is the guy that looks like he just got through MK Ultra standing in front of the court like dumb? Is he Is he a patsy? Is he real? Is Charlie Kirk in Valhalla off New Zealand retired? What is the real deal? But it doesn't matter. Every single time we get shown something because there's another thing happening. And right now
Yeah.
they're dumping the country. Gold is going through the roof, which means all the investment accounts, all the ETFs, all the, where everybody is putting their money in, they're pulling them off the books and they're investing in gold because they know there's a
Okay.
crash that's imminent. And they don't want people to know to take your money out of the banks, convert it to gold, silver, crypto,
Hmm.
one of the ISO currencies. They want to take everybody off the mark, and so they're going to show us over and over all these things. P Diddy, oh my God, P Diddy. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I know he was a bad guy. Whatever. I mean, it's not that important to the entirety of the world.
Mm.
But the reality is, we do have a republic. We do have an interim government that actually was set up to re-inhabit the republic that was set aside in 1861
Hmm.
because the corporation took over in 1871, and all of this I can prove in law. Um, but we do have a re-inhabited republic that upholds our God-given unalienable rights. We do have a personal republic that guarantees that we are not a party to the bankruptcy. We are not the surety or the collateral for the debt. The world order is coming, and they want to chip and mark all of their collateral in the next 2 years. So if you believe in the Bible, it's getting a little eerie.
Uh-huh.
You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do feel like people can feel something coming, but they just don't know what it is, you know? Because I mean, it's getting wicked out there. The-
It's getting wicked, but it's all by design. And
Mhm.
I think this administration is a party to it, and to a big degree. There's been some amazing things Trump has done. But there's also things that I don't agree with. I don't agree with the
Mhm.
way that we're handling things with ICE. I don't. I think some people think, get them out. Yeah, I agree. If they didn't come here lawfully, let's get them out. Let's do it
Mhm.
humanely. We can do it humanely. We don't
Yeah.
need to. We don't need to bust down front doors or beat people
Yeah.
up or throw them down and gas them. We don't need to do all that. We can do it humanely and represent country and God properly. But the
Mhm.
bottom line is, I can agree with a ton of stuff that Trump does, but in law, he is not my president. And to people, they're like shocked when I say that.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm about to say. We took warrants, WARR, warrants and indictments, and we reverse engineered them. What do you mean, Kelly? Well, federal and state authority does not just automatically have subject matter jurisdiction over an individual. They have to prove they have jurisdiction over an individual by writing 2 pages of what it is that is the
Mhm.
jurisdiction. We reverse
Okay.
engineered that, and we created what's called the Living in the Private program. We have foundations that are non taxable. We deal with the IRS. We do what's called a revocation of election. People don't realize this, but within the IRS code, there is a revocation of election. I'm going to say that again because
Okay.
people don't believe it, but I've had plenty of discussions with CPAs and I school them all the time. Attorneys school them. I have attorneys going through my program. I have federal agents, both private, active, retired. I have police, public, retired, active. I have NFL Hall of Famers. I have some famous people. I have a lot of just expect citizen nurses, doctors, you name it.
Mhm.
And they've all written me a letter of recommendation inside the book and named their name. People
Okay.
that are high level. I have billionaires, jet, uh, airplane manufacturers, jet owners, you name it. Why? Because they're tired of what their money is being spent on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you are no longer operating out of a registered corporation, which in a lot of respects, to own an airline or to have a jet or fleet of jets, there's certain structures that we have to do operationally, but we can do it through an LLC, and then we can make
Mhm.
the foundation the primary member of the LLC, which makes the LLC it's called a disregarded entity in IRS code. So we show
Okay.
people how to operate those companies that require licenses but be tax exempt on the private. We show people how to operate everything through foundations in the private, and we triple indemnify them because we're not operating through their name. There is no 1099 or W-2 coming to them. They, by status, don't have to pay taxes. They do the revocation of election, and then they do a thing called removal of signature from the IRS, because the IRS has your approval to sign on your behalf all tax returns if you don't sign it. So we do
Okay.
probably about 30 different letters for our clients with the SSA driver's license. We keep the license in our wallet. We change the agreements, and I don't want to, if you want, I'll explain that to you. But we do DMV, voters, SSA, IRS, firearms, move everything into private trust, private foundations, move homes into private trust, private foundations. And here's the biggest one. I was just at an event over the weekend in Colorado. I got home last night late. I'm tired. But I schooled a bunch of people in Colorado,
Uh-huh.
and I showed them where, because remember, I've done so many chain of titles, I've done so many loans, I've seen all the deeds.
Hmm.
Imagine a deed in the 1800s. This is what it looked like. Uh, it was done using gold, transferred by hand. The vesting was fee simple absolute. They actually signed the grant deed. We don't sign the grant deeds today. As the seller, you do. As the buyer, you don't, which leaves the
Okay.
land or the property to the state. They would
Okay.
use meets and bounds. Today, we use a legal description, and they would use their name, which at that time was their rights. Today, your name isn't yours. It belongs to the state. And I'll explain that in a minute.
Okay.
Today, if you use FRNs, Federal Reserve notes,
Hmm.
the Fed is a party to the transaction. Today, we use a legal description that is literally 6 inches above the land by law. It's territory. It's federal
Yeah.
territory. And
Okay.
today we vest with joint tenants, tenant in common, or a corporation name or your name, and then we don't sign the deed, which means they own the land,
Hmm.
because you're not buying anything. You're putting a down payment, you're getting a loan, whatever it is, you're paying it off in full, and every element of the agreement says they own the land. So as I'm talking to all these people in Colorado, I'm like, look, everything I'm telling you, I can show you in the law, and we can examine this together and what the law reads. Meets and bounds is land. That's what you need to have as your exhibit.
Okay.
Your vesting needs to be fee simple absolute, not joint tenant. Why? Because you're a tenant versus having absolute tenure and title to the center of the earth. And you need to sign your deeds, and you need to put it in a private foundation that the state doesn't own the name, you do. And I explained the whole thing, and I showed, and I said, this is what an old school deed looked like. And they were like blown away, because the reality is, until we start to understand why they have power with code enforcement, why they have power to come and seize land under these executive
Hmm.
orders, they don't have power to come and seize something that is titled appropriately, put into the public in a name that they don't own or control, using money that they don't own or control. And I can go on and on and on. It's like having a lodial title on the property. You don't have to ever worry about um, somebody taking your stuff. The
Yeah.
child, now you're going to be blown away by this. The child, and then I'll explain cars next.
Okay.
The mom, you have any children?
No. No.
The mom signs a live born record.
Okay. Yep.
On the signature, it's only a mom's signature. Why don't they have a dad sign? I want you to really think about this. On the signature line, it says three words: signature, parent, and informant. So in that one signature space,
Uh-huh.
above it says mother. Why doesn't it say mother on the bottom where she's signing? Why does it say parent now? Signature means one who can attest to the validity of the instrument.
Okay.
That's like waving, saying, I've gone through this, I've consulted an attorney, I understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Informant means one who turns one over. Turning over what? The live born record, the claim of title of the child. Parent means judicially decreed guardian. So in one line, she's agreeing to being the guardian of the child that she's turning over. They then
Okay.
take it, the live born record. Why change the name to birth certificate?
Yeah.
Birth, one of the definitions is abandonment. They put
Okay.
the claim of the child on an abandonment certificate. They put it into the public. Where's the dad? We
Right.
know who the father is on the live born record, but why isn't he making a claim over the child is the point.
Right.
Why is he letting the mother turn the product of the union over to the state? And remember something, marriage license, Supreme Court ruling, the
Hmm.
product of the union, anybody that uses a license, the
Yeah.
product of the union belongs to the state. We do marriages outside of getting a state license. We don't need that. You don't
Okay.
need permission. It's only been the last 100 years. You don't need permission from the government to marry the person that you love.
Hmm.
You don't need, you know, the government in your affairs over your children.
Yeah.
And so when you have a marriage license where the Supreme Court has said the product of the union belongs to the state that issues the license, then you have a mom who's taking the product of the union and donating it to the state. Then you have the state taking the child equivalent, putting it on an abandonment certificate and putting it into the public and saying, where's the dad? We'll be the dad if they don't come and make a claim in the next 60
Right.
days. And that's exactly what is happening with your children. With the cars, back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, you were getting title from the manufacturers, not from the state. Now, literally,
Hmm.
when you go buy a car, if you're paying cash, the title goes to the state and the state issues you a certificate of title. The state owns your car. How do you know this? You're paying registration fees every year.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's a sad thing. People just don't realize
Hmm.
what has transpired. We've had our freedoms stolen, our rights, our children, our land, our cars, every element, and it's because they think they've created all these equal word equivalents. So in law, like a man or a woman is now a person in law. They've created corporations instead of being private unregistered. A corporation, whatever states it's registered in, owns, even if you got stock, they own the corporation.
Hmm.
We've given our children over, we've given our cars over, and then we don't even countersign our deeds and we don't do a proper deed, which means we don't own anything. So in this book, what does it mean to be an American? I have an NFL Hall of Famer. I can name him. His name is Kabir. He's from the Green Bay Packers. He's
Okay.
famous in what he's done. He has completely come out into the private, and now his home, 17,000 square feet, $42,000 a year in property taxes, doesn't pay him anymore on his home.
Really.
He doesn't pay him on personal income tax, federal, state, nothing. On
Hmm.
his home, we put it into the foundation and we pulled it out of the county recorder from being a taxable entity. And so those are the
Okay.
things to which people fail because they fail for a lack of knowledge. So when
Yeah.
you're talking like a political show, I wish
Yeah.
everybody would just understand what we have. The
Yeah.
remedy is in the law. The remedy
Right.
is already here. Everybody's arguing about freedoms. Everybody's arguing about taxation. Everybody's
Hmm.
arguing, but this is costing too much. It's in the law right
Yeah.
here. All we have to do is structurally put ourselves in the proper jurisdiction and we're exempt. It's amazing.
Right. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about my sponsors real quick. Sometimes I need a boost before my bike ride, but pounding an energy drink or coffee beforehand just isn't an option. What I love about Quantum Energy Squares is that they're made with 10 grams of plant protein and 100 milligrams of natural caffeine, equal to an 8-ounce cup of coffee. I get the boost I need without having to drink fluids that weigh me down or cause a pit stop during my ride. They have over 2,500 reviews with customers raving about their delicious flavors, like caramel almond sea salt and my favorite, dark chocolate pink Himalayan salt. My discount code gives you 25% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit quantumsquares.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Yeah, I was just talking to a friend the other day about how she does a true crime segment on this show, and I was talking to her about how politics go hand in hand with the law, but and then the law goes hand in hand with crime. But that was the connection I was making. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think very many people educate themselves on what they can do if they don't like a situation, how they can get out of it, and access to that information is hard to find. So can you tell us more about what's in your book, or
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can,
yeah,
whatever point
for
you have?
sure.
Yeah.
People with IRS liens on their homes, on their garnishments, we wipe them out. IRS can only put a lien on a home if you are a United States employee. It's
Okay.
right in their manual. So an agent, watch this. This is all illegal.
Mhm.
Agents will go write up a lien and then put it in the county recorder. That's not a lien. Why is it being
Okay.
accepted and going on a home? I have no idea. It's a notice of lien. That's
Okay.
different than lien. What is a lien? It's something that has to be filed at the Secretary of State. So what we do is we go to help people in that regard. We go to the uh, Secretary of State of the state they live in, and we
Okay.
ask for a letter of no record of a lien. They write
Okay.
us for $5 a letter of no record that the no lien exists against these names. $5 for each name you put in. You put in your first, middle, last, first, middle, whatever. You get the letter of no record. Then we go to basically the office that handles whether you've ever worked for the United States, and we ask for a proof of employmentship or a letter of no record from the United States. We get that. And then we write a letter to the agent giving them 5 days, or they will personally be liable because we show them in the code where they must be an employee, and we show them
Okay.
that they have not even filed the lien appropriately, that it's a felony lien. And this is what the IRS is doing. They're making their agents commit felonies all the time. It's a felony lien because they're not employees of the United States and because they're
Mhm.
not filing them at the Secretary of State. And we double hit this guy on those two elements, and that we're going to refer it for a district attorney charge. And they got to follow. They got to do it. What the agent
Yeah.
does immediately is they pull it off the house, they pull it off the garnishment, whatever. They do it immediately. And so people that are having issues, again, you don't know. We fail for lack of knowledge. So
Yeah.
my goal is to be able to help people understand their lawful remedies that they have. And so what we do is we have a website called hisadvocates.org. And
Okay.
I've also created a TV network called His Advocates TV. And we look for
Okay.
podcasters like you. We're on Roku, Amazon, Android, Apple,
Okay.
uh, LG, Samsung, pretty much every TV in the world. We have um, a pretty wide range. But I created it because
Okay.
they kicked me off of YouTube for questioning certain things. And now I'm
Yeah.
back on YouTube. Now I have, by the way, I got to get your permission to put your show on my
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
account.
You have
Okay.
my permission. Yep.
Yeah. And then the, uh, but it took me forever to build up a ton of subscribers. And then now it's
Yeah.
taking me another couple of years to get up to 85,000, 86,000, whatever it is.
Wow.
But the bottom line is our goal is to keep freedom operational in the media with His Advocates TV, and then
Hmm.
keep people free as a state citizen. So we're converting tens of thousands of people into becoming state citizens, and helping them understand what their lawful remedy is to protect their homes, their cars, their children. We show, I have a forward here from a federal agent. He worked for Department of Justice, Treasury, state, and then he was almost getting his FBI cert. And he calls me up and he said, "Tell me about this," because I think honestly he was probably doing an investigation. um,
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I look forward to those. I have a lot of retired law enforcement. I have active law enforcement, active military. I was
Hmm.
very encouraged, and I take the time to lawfully explain what we are doing. Bottom line, I married him. He was at my wedding. I'm his, uh, you know, his children's. I forget what that's called.
Godfather?
Yeah, godfather and
Yeah.
godmother of their children.
Yeah.
And he helped me write this book. I'm the main
Okay.
author, but he structurally helped me put it together. It's been a book in 10 years in the making. So it's a proud
Yeah.
moment for me to actually say, hey, we took somebody from the inside, and we're using
Yeah.
that quality of a person to help free more people. And he actually ended up working for uh, the Department of State and Department of Justice for a long time in the private, where he was having them pay his foundations that we created for him. And then he just said, "I need to get out." And
Yeah.
he's working for us now. He's a good man. We have doctors, cardiovascular surgeons, all kinds of people. There's people that that I keep their information private. But I want to read you a few things just so that you can get your mind wrapped around it. Um,
Okay.
Chisholm versus Georgia. Supreme Court recognizes the sovereignty of the state. Now, listen, the states, plural. That means people
Hmm.
in law. So if you look at Black's law definition of states, it's a body of people. So
Okay.
recognizes the sovereignty of the states and the role of citizens as the ultimate sovereigns. Now, I'm not a sovereign citizen. I don't know how to walk on water. I'm not that, you know, NSA or FBI created term that has no lawful meaning behind it. It's just a
Uh,
derogatory to try to get people to think that anybody that thinks they're free or self governed is crazy. And
okay.
we deal with that argument. Let me read you a couple more cases just so that you can get your mind wrapped around it. Um, the Barron versus Baltimore, the Supreme Court held that the Bill of Rights protects only the powers of federal government and it does not apply to the state governments. Dred Scott versus Sanford, the court declared citizens of the United States at the same time of the adoption of the Constitution were the citizens of the several states, but how they did it was by a voluntary act of an adhesion contract, and I'm going to explain that right now. Um, when they created the 14th Amendment, they did not create it for the black people. They created
Right.
it to bring everybody under the jurisdiction of the corporation. And so
Okay.
they did that through making the birth certificate, which is a corporation, and which is the United States citizen. UCC 9, registered organization, the birth certificate is the US citizen. They made
Okay.
you take the birth certificate and go to the DMV and say,
Yeah.
I want a job called driver. Driver is a commercial term. You take this test, you get an unconscionable contract, which means illegal. You're 16, you're signing a
Hmm.
application as a minor, and you get to become an employee as a driver, which makes you an employee of the United States. Also, you sign for another unconscionable contract first, or maybe after the driver's license, called Social Security. You want to get a job. Well, now Social Security is given at birth. You don't even have a choice.
Yeah.
Well, it's only given to children that are from a marital licensed couple. We have children outside of the United States in hospitals and out where we can do no birth certificate and we can still get them a passport. So we are
Okay.
freeing even the children from the birth certificate, which makes them holding an office as U.S. citizen. And it's the holding of the office that grants jurisdiction to the federal government to do anything to you.
Okay.
So in the, let me read you a couple more cases really quick, just so you can get your mind wrapped around. Um, Again, slaughterhouse cases, 83 U.S. 36 1873, still active law today. All these cases were what's called shepherdized. They're active law today. I only need one. I put a
Hmm.
lot in here. The Supreme Court distinguishes between state citizen and newly created federal citizen. It is quite clear then, this is the justice, that there is a citizen of the United States and a citizen of a state which are distinct, meaning separate, they're not the same,
Okay.
from each other. The majority opinions by Chief Justice Samuel Miller. Why is that important? Because you can be either one in this nation. You can be
Okay.
both. Everybody has access. They're all born as Americans,
Yeah.
but then they give up their sovereignty because a U.S. citizen gives up his sovereignty to be an employee of the United
Hmm.
States. And then they get all these jobs. You get an employment ID number called Social Security number. You
Right.
get a job called
Right.
voter. You get a job called taxpayer, and you get a job
Hmm.
called driver. And then you're holding the most important job, which is U.S. citizen. So if people could understand that they don't need to go up to the mountains and have a driver's license burning party, growing their beards long and becoming these crazy people, that we can be a broker, we can be a janitor, we can be a politician, we can be a federal agent, yes.
Yeah.
And you can distinguish yourself as a state citizen. And by law, there is no obligation for you to pay taxes. And so
So
it's the most amazing opportunity. Yep.
yeah. So does that so if you are a state citizen, do you still pay state taxes if your
That's a great
state
question.
collects them? Okay.
You're no, you don't have to file a return with the states, no. But because it's a corporate state, it's not the state de jure. And there's no
Okay.
law in the state de jure that requires you to pay taxes. Because that government has been set aside since 1871. So the sub corporation known as the state of California underneath the United States corporation is the same party. And so if I am outside of the United States, I'm outside of that corporate state. It's not the same.
Okay. Mhm.
It's we, and I'm going to talk to you more cases about de jure and de facto.
Okay.
De jure is lawful original. State of California, 1849. There's a California Constitution. Very primitive, very short,
Yeah.
really something for the people. And then there's an 1879 State of California corporate constitution. I was at the Library of Congress in California, and I asked for two certified copies of the California Constitution, the 1849 and 1879. And he said, "What are you, one of those sovereign citizens?" I said, "Just give me the dang copies." I didn't want to argue. I
Yeah.
said, "What is that?" And I didn't acted silly with him. And I said, "I'll address that comment though in a minute." I said, "Just please get him." And he got him. And I said, "Would you agree this 1849 is active law today?" You can Google it. It'll say 1849 is active law today. He said, "Yeah."
Okay.
I said, "Great." I slid the 1879 towards him. I said, show me in this one where it adopts, alters, annuls, ratifies anything with the 1849. He already knew I had him. It was checkmate.
Right.
The 1879 is the corporate. Let me just read it to you. Hold on. Black's Law.
Okay.
State. The same word has different definitions. And a lot of people don't really understand the importance that the same word can mean two different things based on
Hmm.
capitalization.
Okay.
State, I want you to reference the top one.
Oh, there we go.
It says all caps state. The second one is a lowercase state, right? You see the
Hmm.
difference? Okay.
Yeah.
A state, all caps, is a community of persons, birth certificates, living in certain limits of territory above the land. Federal territory overlays the land, doesn't have rights to the land, under
Hmm.
a permanent organization which aims to secure the prevalence of justice by self-imposed law, meaning the United States. If you contract with them as the BC, hold the office, you are a party to a community of persons bound under federal territory. That's exactly what that says. Just worded differently. The lowercase state says a political society, a body of people. And that's it right here. A political system of a body of people which are politically organized. That's it. Why does one
Okay.
say community of persons for the all caps and one
Yeah.
say body of people for the lowercase?
Right.
Think. Because when we were organized, we were a people, the people were self governed.
Hmm.
Later, they created a structure of persons which were artificial called birth certificates, where people are coming on and saying, that's me, which is, I'm going to hold that office. Literally, it's an employment ship. And
Hmm.
you're signing away your God-given unalienable rights to have a less attractive citizenship where you're required to pay taxes, where you're required to give your allegiance to. And here's the bad thing. These, and I don't know what I can say on your show or not say, but these,
Oh, you can say
the
whatever
V
you want.
word that everybody's been doing for the last several years
Hmm.
has graphene oxide and has elements of DNA programming that
Hmm.
turns your DNA into what's called cDNA, which gives ownership rights to the creators, which is Pfizer, Moderna, and the other pharmaceuticals. So when
Uh-huh.
you understand what I just said is they made the people the surety and the collateral for a defunct, bankrupted company called the United States. The bankruptcy happened in 1933, and the number you can look up is HJR 192. They
Okay.
started the new federal systems like of the way that they operate the bankruptcy through the federal judges. You can look at the federal rules of procedure, or no, federal rules of criminal procedure. It says judges are the trustees of the bankruptcy. So anytime
Okay.
somebody goes into court, the United States always wins. Very rare does
Right.
an individual win because they want to get
Right.
to judgment. They want to get paid for the creditors, which is the banks, and people no longer have rights and they don't have protections of the constitutions. So anybody
Hmm.
walking into court saying, you know, I want my constitutional rights. The Constitution was designed for the federal government to be restrained to uphold our God given unalienable rights.
Right.
And
Right.
that's from a political standpoint of fact and law that we're missing the mark. We're arguing Democratic, Republican, black, white, liberal, conservative. We're
Hmm.
arguing the wrong things. Don't you think a
Yeah.
liberal wants freedom like we have? Don't you think a
Right.
conservative really wants freedom like we have in law? Absolutely. We all are being brought down this road of
Hmm.
being blindly taken out, keeping everybody focused. Now they're dumping the dollar. The dollar is literally going away this next year. We're going to be a cashless society. And either we wake up and Americans start operating in republic again, which is your safety net, lawful safety net,
Hmm.
and where we start reorganizing America to be working through the Republican form of government and not some political party, not some belief system, just the law. Let's work in with what
Yeah.
we know today in the law.
Are there any like downsides to switch changing
We've been doing this
yourself to a
15
state
years
citizen?
as his
Okay.
advocates. Not one person has had a visit, a knock, or another filed return. They don't have any threats. They don't have anything. If you do this properly, you're now considered a creditor in law, and they have to treat you as such. It's completely different. People that are
Hmm.
torn apart, they just don't know the structure of how to get it done. We're doing
Yeah.
it through the Department of State, and there's an entire system and process that we have to do, and it's between 4 and 9 months to get it all done. Get the passports, get the
Hmm.
DMV driver, all the different what I call adhesion trusts. They're not contracts. You're not
Okay.
countersigned. The state doesn't countersign a DMV. They don't countersign your Social Security. You're not when you submit a 1040 at the end of every year. You're not getting a countersign back. They're all trusts. They're all
Uh-huh.
voluntary, and we rework all those elements of those adhesion trusts to your benefit through an administrative process that creates a permanent court of record. I know that people don't understand what I just said. It's a lawful way for us to complete your freedom and guarantee that nobody is going to mess with you. We don't have a
Hmm.
single complaint filed on anybody or from anybody, and we work very hard at keeping a honest ministerial, um, godly approach for people, because really, when you're coming under the declaration, you're saying God is king. I don't care what anybody
Right.
thinks. You're literally saying he is the king, he is the sovereign, and I am self-governed. And
Hmm.
so either you're in check with that or you're not, but it is what it is.
Yeah. How does so is there I- again, since I don't have kids, I don't quite know, but is there a way to avoid signing your child away with
Oh yeah.
on the birth
We do it all the time.
certificate?
We do it all the time. We do it all the time.
Okay.
It's a little complicated, but from the
Hmm.
standpoint of knowledge base, but it's not complicated to
Yeah.
get done.
So the other thing, while you were talking, I was thinking about like Native American rights. You know, they're often called sovereign, um, but they also, I mean, if they wanted to go off the reservation, would and purchase their own land because they live on land that's been, well, gifted back to them by the government. But if they were to go purchase their own land, then does that make them a US citizen then? Like a federal citizen once they
They
do
the
that?
second they get
Or
a driver's license or birth certificate, yeah, they have a dual
okay.
citizenship class. One
Uh-huh.
is as the Native American, one is as a U.S. citizen holding the office of U.S. citizen.
Okay.
Um, which is an awesome question because being born on this land and being a state citizen only means that you're saying again, God is king, and I'm
Uh-huh.
one of the sovereign people on the land. So it's literally equivalent to what an American Indian who isn't contracted to the corporation already has. You're just
Okay.
able to get a passport, and you're able to travel about freely.
Yeah.
Um, the Amish people are much like a Native American. Native American they've unfortunately contracted the majority of their freedoms away
Hmm.
in that they get driver's licenses, they
Yeah.
register their cars in the state of California, even though they're on a reservation. Why would you do that?
Right.
Well, it's the same with the Amish. The Amish are now being told you have to have a driver's license in order to operate a buggy with a horse. Like they're telling them you have to have turn signals on your buggy and you need a plate on your buggy. You need to register the buggy. And I'm just like scratching my head going, and then the Amish church leaders are so
Hmm.
afraid that they're saying to their constituents, the Amish people, you must obey your form of government. That's literally not what Romans 13, and I don't mean to get biblical on it, but Romans 13
Yeah.
does not mean that. And if people understood what they have here in this country, we are self-governed. We're the government.
Yeah.
So to be obedient, like Romans 13 says, which is what the Amish believe, to be obedient to
Yeah.
your government means to be obedient to God only, because you're self-governed, which
Yeah.
means the Ten Commandments rule over you as law. So it's about the Ten Commandments, and it's not about a state corporate agency masquerading as a government. We are
Hmm.
self-governed here on the land. And so that's one of the things I have helped a lot of people in big cases that you see around the country. I get
Yeah.
those weird kind of calls all the time, and I show people just how to operate outside of that structure. But
Yeah.
quite literally, the answer to your question is if you contract your rights away, it goes for U.S. citizens or people born on anywhere in the country, whether you're on an Indian reservation in Pennsylvania or you're an Amish, a Mennonite, doesn't matter. If you contract
Hmm.
your rights away, you're contracting them away.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the sad part about where we're at. The Amish people were the last people. Really, the American Indians, they really had no rights ever. They were thrown into a little box and given a check, and they all drank their lives. Not all of them, but
Right.
alcoholism and all
Yeah.
those things are rampant there. I just
Hmm.
think that we need to start understanding who we are and really what a state citizen is and what
Yeah.
the true meaning of being in law directly under God and self-governed. It's the most powerful thing on the earth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that people are really, really starting to feel this. I think more people are starting to realize that I mean it doesn't feel like I own my own property if oh well the city owns the front 6 feet of my yard, yet I'm responsible for the service line if it breaks that goes through that city property. I'm responsible for mowing it. I mean, so that's it's you think that that's your yard, yet the city's like, no, these 6 feet, these 3 feet, whatever, depending on the city, that's ours. But the service line underneath it, that's yours, and you're gonna have to pay the $10,000 if that blows. I work in water distribution, so that's a little bit of
Do you
I
really?
hear a lot of complaints about that, but um yeah,
Really?
and
Good.
I'm just like I'm the messenger, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
yeah.
sorry. But you'll see the list go around of like what we used to get taxed on and how big it is now. It's like, do you really own your land if they can take it back? Do you really own your car if they can take it
Well, I
away
mean,
from you? It,
they've made it clear that um all they did was change terms, and it
mhm,
gave them lawful authority to do those things.
yeah,
If you don't accept a deed, you don't countersign a deed, you're not an owner. If you're a joint tenant, you're not an owner. If you're buying territory, a legal description, you don't own land, you own air. You
yeah,
own a space above ground.
yeah,
And it's so all those elements, and if you're recording it in your name, you don't own it, the state does. If you're recording in a corporation name, you don't own it, the state does.
mhm,
That
yeah,
is the biggest trickery I've ever heard of in my life, and it's coming straight out of what this government has offered us
yeah,
for the last 100 years.
yeah,
So just understanding the law and knowing that we are still right now able to record an old school deed,
yeah,
uh, buy gold by hand for an undisclosed amount of consideration. XYZ hereby sells to this foundation name uh, this exhibit A, which is meets and bounds, to be held in fee absolute 10-year entitle, meaning fee simple absolute, and where the person countersigns the deed, now you own the land. That's
yeah,
proper title. I'm a real estate
yeah,
broker. I'm an expert in that. That's proper title. It's not
yeah,
my opinion, it's the law. And so, why are they not? Why is escrow not having us countersign the deed? Why are they putting joint tenant on the deed or
right,
tenants in common? Why aren't they telling you about fee simple absolute? Why aren't they telling you that you should if you really want to own this, you should put it in a name that you hold title to, which is not your name.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we fail for lack of knowledge. So that's what
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
on the mountaintop screaming the truth and trying to get people to understand. You know, this is 10 years
Yeah.
in the making. This is a you can get the Audible for $7-8. You can get the Kindle for $2.99. This is $17.76, which is the year
Nice.
we were founded. And I
Yep.
think it's important for people to understand our freedom and what the
Yeah.
case law supports for us to be free. And we are anybody can go to hisadvocates.org, register for free, and they can start investigating this stuff for themselves. And we
Okay.
walk people through how to get it done from beginning to end. And we have freed tens of thousands of people, and we've been
Yeah.
doing this a long time.
Yeah. So to me, this sounds like the way to actually truly own your own property and write
I can
your
read it
own
to you
rights
here.
to
A
yourself.
U.S. citizen cannot own land.
Right.
A U.S. citizen cannot vote. They're not a true
Nice.
voter. Only an elector is a true voter. A state citizen is an elector, and an elector is the only one that's able to own land or vote. People don't
Okay.
understand what you're doing is you're voting in a corporation, not voting for it as your president.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing what they have done. They took the United States, they overlaid it with the U.S. corporation, and then they took all the people and contracted them up to here, and then
Uh-huh.
they did the same thing with their homes, their cars, and their children, and took
Yeah.
away the assets through deception. And it's a sad thing, but it's a fact. We can reverse all of it and help people become Americans again and gain
Yeah.
control of their assets, their homes, their cars, and their children, and put it all in private foundations, be capital gains free, be tax free, and
Yeah.
be able to pass it on to their children's children's children without all these fees and without them having to sell the property to pay the taxes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like the audience
No,
to know?
no,
Got it?
well, probably a lot, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I will make sure it's hisadvocates.org, correct?
correct.
I
Yep.
will make sure to put that in the show notes and post it. And your book is available on Amazon,
All three versions,
all
paperback,
three
Kindle,
versions.
and audio.
Okay.
And just if anybody needs information, needs support, needs help, they can do either the passport, they can do a foundation, they can do the whole living in the private program. We have all kinds of products and services for people, asset protection services. Again, we have billionaires, we have heads of state in a lot of different respects. There's people I can't even name to you. We keep
Hmm.
everybody's information private. We don't use mainstream anything. Everything we do is self-created, private, and just to protect the rights of the people.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Send me the podcast and a link, and I appreciate all your time and help.
Sounds good. Will do.
All right,
All
girl. Have a
right.
good one.